earlier in the month, I said, hey, usually what I do, I speak for 15, 20 minutes and yada yada. He's like, no, you can't speak. I need a whole hour and 20 minutes. So I'm like, okay, I guess I won't speak then. So anyways, the floor is yours. You want to introduce yourself? Again, I already said your name, but
sure.
Say hi.
I'm going to let you guys know exactly who I am. Stephen Thomas with Reports on Housing. And I'm sure you have not heard of me because I'm from Orange County. And that's where I started. But before I get into my own introduction, I'm
One
going to...
quick question.
Yeah.
Do you have a problem if we record this?
Not on
YouTube? Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
Please do.
Okay.
So we're going to start with some fun photos because I'm going to dive into economics and you need to make sure you guys are awake with the blood pumping. These are selling sunset versus real life. Come on, this is the way it really is. This is an MLS photo. I love MLS photos. When you get this listing, you go, huh, what do I do with that? This is also an MLS photo. We had one job centered, right? And somebody said in one of my presentations, it probably goes up to that tub.
Right.
Somebody like to watch themselves in that tub is what they like doing.
Exactly.
Freaks.
Someone most definitely got fired. You guys see it?
No, it's not
Yeah, see the driveway?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's missing. Come on, how do you get it? Seriously. Listing agent, we've been getting a lot of action recently and are expecting multiples. Sure you are. Gen X remembers this linoleum flooring. I had 2 of them growing up. This is actual vinyl flooring when vinyl was vinyl back in the day.
Not luxury vinyl.
Not luxury vinyl.
Like they call that.
This is that paper thin stuff that they glue to the floor. We'll need proof of funds when we submit the offer. Does this work?
Maybe today, I guess, with egg prices. I'm going to pay you in eggs.
Yeah, that's right. Before. Realtors and their headshots after. AI is awesome. But the house down the street sold for way more than your suggested listing price near home. The house down the street. This is what we deal with every day. I had this one this week. Bull market, bear market, and the kangaroo market. That's what we're dealing with right now as far as rates are concerned. So I'm going to get into my introduction. Quantitative Economics Decision Sciences major from the University of California, San Diego, and La Jolla. I've been in business for a third of a century, Orange County native, got a Cap Valley High School grad, that's right off the Avery if you've ever driven down the 5. And I do have 9 kids. That's right. Usually I get like a gas.
That wasn't a picture of your spa, was it?
No.
Sorry, everybody.
But bump. I brought mine, she brought hers. And we had them all the time, so I actually adopted hers, and she adopted mine, and then we had this kid turn 7 a few weeks ago.
Wow.
And then that one right there, he graduated Washington State University and has been working with us 2 years this coming up May. And that gal right there, she's married, and she brought us this. Pretty awesome. Well, I am a grandpa. If you're wondering if I'm going to have a 10th kid, that's my 10th kid. So we've been all over the press, and our company's Reports on Housing, your local real estate snapshot. This is what we do. This is all I do. I'm a housing analyst. Not too many people get to say, yeah, what do you do? I'm a housing analyst. People go, what is that? So I've actually been doing this part for 20 years, but I used to represent buyers and sellers back in the day in the 1990s. That's why I came up with the buyer and seller report. And that's because I was trying to cut through all the noise that's out there. There's way too much noise, and the noise is just, the volume is higher because now you can Google whatever narrative you are thinking about. It exists. I had somebody send me this Nick Gurley YouTube video about the millions that the government is propping up FHA, and there's all these loans that are going to come due, and there's a lot of foreclosures. Just simply not the truth. It's not the facts, not the data and stats. They just are lying. That's the narrative you can follow, and I want to cut through that by providing statistics, facts, data, that type of thing. And this is what I gave to my buyers and sellers back in the day until I hung up my hat, and that was a lot of fun to. They haven't had any activity for a while. Giving them a report that shows them the lack of activity really helps your cause, and that's the genesis of the report. In this last year, we now have to put everybody under contract, sellers and buyers, and this is just one more tool of value. And I think you're the last Realty One Group office that I've hit along Clark County, because we just launched this report back in May. I'll go get into that in a second, but we don't focus on closed sales data. We do provide it, but I'm just not a big fan of looking in the rearview mirror and talking about where we're going from here based upon stuff that's already closed. That's not how we operate. With economics, like supply and demand. Supply is available number of homes to show your buyers today. And demand is a snapshot of the last 30 days of pending sales activity. And from supply and demand, we come up with expected market time, because if all of a sudden things change in either one, you can see it in the speed of the market. This is my replacement for days on market. I don't like days on market, never have. It's not real true days on market, it's real actual speed of the marketplace. So if you're looking at medians and average days on market, it doesn't matter. Closed sales typically are artificially skewed to the low side, because a lot of people sell their stuff off market and then they place it into the MLS and it has 0 days on market. So when you do that aggregate study, the averages and medians drop. So we're actually selling our potential sellers that it's going to go into escrow faster than it really is based upon the marketplace. So so we have, the reports are used for buyer-seller consultations, to get price reductions. That was one of my first testimonials from Clark County, just a couple months after we launched in May and July. Somebody said I got it in Clark County, a price reduction because of the report. And I hear that all the time. But this was so new, it was great to hear a testimonial. And it's to get buyers off of the fence, stop talking about all the reasons they're going to wait. That is the wrong recipe for going forward. And it's just close more transactions by properly setting expectations. I'm in the expectation setting business, and we have reports that dot all over SoCal. And this within the last year, we've launched Bay Area, Vegas, Phoenix, and Ventura. And so I know what's going on in all these markets, and they kind of groove to the same beat, but there are some differentiations from market to market that we're able to pick up on. Now people say, what do you do? We have a report that we provide every 2 weeks, and what do we do with this report? You get it out to every single one of your sellers and buyers. You actually utilize it in your open houses, you utilize it in your farms and your sphere of influence marketing, all that. We have sections with links at the bottom of the report, so you can click on them and get social media stuff, as well as excerpts and different things like that. There's a lot of links at the bottom of every single report. And so far this year, these are what the reports look like. I'm gonna give you a truckload of information. That's not how my reports read, because that would be impossible for your clients, wouldn't read the whole thing. But I'm gonna give you kind of where we're at right now and where we're going based upon all that. Instead, I focus on one thing at a time, and I talk about the one thing: supply, demand, the luxury market. And in Vegas, we actually have the high-rise market as well, because that's a subset. If anybody has a high-rise, we kind of know what it's doing. It's called slow, and I could show it with data and stats. But and then we have a bunch of charts and things at the bottom. But a golden kickoff was the very beginning of this year. Last year was the opposite. We had this big optimistic feeling because we were at 8%, and we started off last year at 6.3%. And we had, or 6.7% actually, and we had really, it felt great. It felt like the year was gonna line up pretty incredibly. We didn't have that much inventory, so it was a really speedy market at the beginning of the market year, especially Clark County. So we had this idea of the way the market was gonna be for the year, and it ended up proving us wrong. It ended up being slower than what we thought. This year is the exact opposite. We started off with 7% plus interest rates and more homes on the market, and now that warm fuzzy that we had feeling wasn't there. So our expectations of the market are actually worse than most likely it's going to end up. And so that's why we talked about bizarre market movement. We saw some really weird things for the first half of January that aren't normal for the markets. That's what we talked about. And then a winter thaw. We talked about what to expect during the winter market. We always get to Super Bowl and everybody says, oh my gosh, it's really getting great. This is the best time to get in. You should get in now. That's a universal thing that we do in the real estate industry. It's actually better in March. So even though we say February, it's not February. You can come on the market right around Valentine's Day is my suggestion for a lot of people. And more seller competition, much different year. We talked about the seller competition, where it's coming from, why is it different. And then a different velocity is the one that actually, this is Clark County, comes out tonight. And I'm actually proofing it after we're done with this. But we have a different velocity. The velocity of this year is way different than it's been for a while, so it feels incredibly different. And there's a whole bunch of reasons behind how we got to this point. So reportsonhousing.com, that's where you go to subscribe. It's $15 per month or $150 per year. Come May 1st, it actually changes to $20 a month, $200 per year, because I've been at the same level since 2017. And I'm tired of waiting for the housing market to finally do something different so I could do something different. But at this point, push comes to shove, this is the direction we have to go. So if you lock in at 150, you actually get a year. Plus, you get a free month if you sign up today with this. It stays on my person. I don't have an office like this to go to. It's me. And I get it to you myself, and then I shred it afterwards. And that's what we do. So I'm my junk food of choice is statistics and data. I listen to something on the way here, and I just can't get enough of it. So I was actually up late last night preparing this. Late for me was 12 midnight, and then I had to get on a plane. I had to wake up at 4:45. So not a lot of sleep that I got, and it's all this ridiculous time change that we had. So I'm a little sluggish. So bear with me, but I still got to listen to a lot of podcasts and things, and I couldn't get enough of it. I absolutely love it. We have an economic model we follow. It's called a progression model. That's because things are constantly evolving and changing. And just today, we're having a real tariff war with Canada. I don't know if you've been paying attention to it, but now there's going to be a 50% levy placed on some steel and aluminum imports, and they're holding electricity hostage. They just want these tariffs to go away. So that's where we're at as of today. And I'm not political at all. I'm here to tell you, I hate politics. It's not my junk food of choice. I don't know about you. Some people might like it. I don't even like to talk about it. I just like to see exactly what it's going to do to my economic numbers, and that's what I'm going to talk about, because it really, you can tell where things are going to go based upon the way people are reacting. So that's how I deal with things. So let's get right into mortgage rate update, because it is so important for our industry. The velocity of our market depends upon mortgage rates. So, and our buyers care about mortgage rates a lot. They don't like 7% plus interest rates with no point. So when the overall economy is hot, what happens is interest rates rise. And that's what we were dealing with since they did that half-point rate cut in September. All the numbers were coming out hot, too hot. So we watched rates rise ever since they reduced the short-term federal funds rate by 0.5% back in September. They reduced it 0.5%, but everything's been going up since then. It's because it's been too hot, so rates rise. The reason for that is because investors like to play in the stock market when that happens. They're ready to play like crazy, and they don't like the long-term stuff. In this room, we're the long-term stuff. We're 30-year mortgages, so it's not like it's a real quick turn. It's 30-year mortgages and that they like to invest in. But when things are slow, kind of like what's been going on recently, what has been happening is rates fall. And the reason that rates fall, I don't know why that's okay.
That's ours. Yeah, there it goes.
Okay. Anyway, so when the market slows, rates fall. That's because they don't want to play in stocks anymore. Instead, they want to play in treasury bonds and mortgage-backed securities. And the reason that they like the two, this is the love affair that goes way back in time, goes all the way back to 1971. The reason why they like to look at the two is because 10-year treasuries, we look at 10-year treasuries, the mortgage-backed securities, the average mortgage is held for how long? 10 years. So investors look at both of those the same. So mortgage-backed securities are kind of like interest rates. So if a lot of people flooded mortgage-backed securities, all of a sudden rates fall because everybody likes them. And that's what happens when the economy slows. They look at the two of those the same. So this is the Federal Reserve Board. They actually, they're meeting next week, and it's a big meeting that they have next week. The guy on the right is Jerome Powell. That's the guy that's commander-in-chief. That's the one that President Trump wants to fire, but if you know anything about Jerome Powell, he was actually installed by Trump. So these guys are not political. They are nerds. They really are. They have 500 PhDs and master's degree people that work underneath of all of them. It's just a bunch of geeks. So when people say they're political, there are a bunch of voting members and they're from both sides of the aisle. You're gonna have a hard time figuring out exactly where they are because they like economics, not politics. So they meet every 6 weeks, and every other meeting is an important meeting, and that's this meeting coming up next week. And the reason for that is because every meeting they talk about what they're gonna do with rates. Every other meeting they talk about not only what they're gonna do with rates that day, but what they're gonna do for the rest of the year. They each decide where they think rates need to go. And there's this plot that they plotted out, but that tells all of us where they think rates are gonna go. We kind of already have an idea of where they're gonna go. That's what the market's kind of telling them right now. But very important is next week because they will articulate where they're gonna go, not only for this year, but also for next year. So, and then when we get towards the end of the year, then it's not only the end of the year, it's next year, and then the following year, 2020, like as if they have any clue where we're going. They have no idea. It is like a dense fog out there. They have no idea, like everybody out there. Nobody knows the path of rates right now. We know short term where they're going. So in September, they articulated how many for 2025? 4. Then they met again in December, because then they met in November. They didn't talk about rates long term. Then in December, the next one, they talked about it. They changed their tune and said 2. Then we had some jobs reports and things like that. There's a lot of people who are saying 0, or they're gonna increase rates. And I'm sitting there going, you guys are overreacting like they always do. Wall Street overreacts to everything. It's like that first scratch you get on your brand new car. You know how you feel, right? That's the way that they deal with every single data point. It's like their first scratch in a brand new car. Because now you drive around your car, you have like 150 scratches. I did one over the weekend. One of my chairs going to a flag football game, scratched my car. I really didn't care. Plenty of scratches at this point. So they said 2. We're gonna find out how many they think for the rest of the year. It's right now the market's telling them 3. We'll hear from them next week as to what they're thinking. They really don't want to rock the boat too much either, so they need to be really careful. Because in December, when he met, he did a press conference. He always says that Jerome Powell does a press conference, and he did his Q&A, and his Q&A was such a disaster. I was actually watching it live and watching what was happening to the 10-year Treasury, which is rates. And rates were rising as he was speaking. I got so ticked off. I've never done this before. I stopped listening to him. I had to read his notes afterwards because I didn't even want to listen to him because he was ruining our marketplace. Because I'm rooting for rates to come down because that's what will thaw out our marketplace. As soon as we get rates down to 6%, that's all we need. We don't even have to get in the 5s yet. 6% is really all we need. I'd like to get in the 5s, but 6 will do. And I go every Sunday to church to pray for rates to come down. I'm telling you, everybody has to find their religious place and go every weekend. And there's a reason for that because it's not only us doing more transactions, there are buyers that want to buy, millennials, Gen Zs, as well as plenty of homeowners that feel stuck in their house and they would like rates to come down so they can do things. So we're very, very data dependent because the Fed has told us how data dependent they are. They're not very forward thinking anymore. They just kind of like rely on every single data point. So we could do the same thing they're doing and articulate kind of where they think they need to go. I think that at this point they need to be more forward thinking, but they're not. And 30-year mortgage rates, that's what we deal with, right? When the Fed cuts or increases rates, rates don't change the day that they do that. That is the biggest takeaway that I can give you. It's huge. And the reason for that is because they only control short-term rates. It's called a federal funds rate. It's an overnight banking rate. Not even close to the 30-year mortgage rate that we do. That is investors decide where that goes. And it's all based upon where they think the Fed's gonna go down the road. In September, when we had that half-point rate cut, we already knew they were gonna do a half-point rate cut. We all did, so did all of your buyers, even though they were waiting for it to happen. And then you can see that Himalaya up at the top, where I'm pointing to where it is now. They've actually done a full percentage point down in the short-term rate. Now, what is tied to the short-term rate? Credit card, automobile loans, equity line of credit, that type of stuff. Not us. And they were actually flat. You can see that flat up at the top. that flatness was from July of 2023 to September 2024. They didn't change it at all. Yet rates were all over the board, all the way from 8% down to 6.1%, yet they had done nothing. And that's because what the investors are trying to do is figure out where the Fed needs to be in the future based upon the current data. And that's why it fluctuates all over the place. And you can see mortgage rates. This was the day before they did that half-point rate cut in September. And the week before, we hit 6.1%. And I actually knew this rate was too low, and that day I knew that rates were gonna actually go up slightly, but I couldn't even access this site. This is one of the 2 sites, if I was in your shoes, that I would download. This is Mortgage News Daily. It's 0 points. It's not tied to any lender. They have people advertise on their site. That's what it's about. But this is a key takeaway because the day that they were reducing it by 0.5 point, everybody was trying to go on here, and I couldn't even access the site. It was broken. And the reason I couldn't access it because everybody, their brother and sister, was on this thing trying to see rates that had dropped to 0.5%, which they had not. I knew that they were actually going up for the day because it was already baked into the equation. Hadn't changed. So, and you can see this is where rates have gone since went down a full point. They went up a point, now they're coming back down a little bit. This is where they are as of this morning, 6.72%. That's where it is right now. So it's kind of like all over the board, right? It's because that's where they are trying to articulate where the Fed's gonna do. Originally, they thought 4 rate cuts for this year, remember? Then they were down to 2, now they're up to 3. That's why we had interest rates as high as 7, now they're starting to come down. That's the overall idea, is what they think the Fed's gonna do in the future. So the most important economic data point right now are jobs. Anything that has to do with jobs. There was a job thing that came out today, you don't have to really worry about it, it's kind of a moot thing. But every single month, the first Friday is Jobs Friday. There's very few exceptions. One of them is the start of the year around a holiday. They'll bump it to the following week. But the first week of February, Jobs Friday. The first week of March, last Friday, Jobs Friday. It's a big day because they tell us how many jobs we created in the economy. It's huge because that's really the number one thing that the Fed cares about, because if that breaks, they're in trouble. So they're watching that thing closely because they're actually nervous about the job market. So, and this was in February, which the first week of February, they were announcing what happened in January. This was right at about the expectations. But unemployment rate, 143,000 jobs created. Prior to COVID, we did about 130 to 140,000 jobs that we created every single month. So this is not a bad report. The unemployment, though, went down. There were more workers that were actually in the field working, so unemployment was down to 4%, and that was so this was kind of like a wishy-washy report, didn't do a lot. But if you look, you can see where I'm pointing that yellow arrow. You can see the month before that, it was over 300,000 jobs that we created in the month of December, and that blew expectations. It was double what everybody thought, and interest rates rose that day because of that. Now, this is the one that came out on Friday, and that is we created 151,000 jobs. Expectations were 170, but still 151,000 is still better than where we were prior to COVID, so it's not really a bad report. It's just not as hot as what they thought. Unemployment rate went up a little bit, and then with everything else that's going on with tariffs and all that stuff, this report actually made rates go down slightly. So everything else is important: inflation, manufacturing, retail sales. Inflation comes out tomorrow, that's CPI. Everybody hears about CPI. It's actually not the one that the Fed prefers. That one's actually broken a bit. It's too high, and there's a lot of reasons. I won't even get into why it is, even though they want 2% as a target rate. It's not CPI. It's another one called PCE. You don't even know about it. Comes out at the end of every month, a couple weeks after CPI comes out. And that one's actually in the 2s. But it's kind of stuck. It's not coming down as fast as they thought it was going to. So we have inflation, manufacturing is important, and retail sales. The problem right now is retail sales are way down. Everybody said that we had a really good holiday. We had a really good holiday the year before, but we didn't have a problem with retail sales. It's like they make an excuse for everything. This is really a yellow flag for anybody that's an economist, because all the numbers are showing that we're not spending as much, because everybody's concerned about what? Inflation down the road. So our inflation expectations went really high, and that's an issue because it stops us from spending. and we are a consuming country. We like to consume like nobody else. We're number one, numero uno. That's what GDP is consumption. She likes to consume. And that's what it's like, that's what we're dealing with less consumption, which is not good for the overall economy. So that's what the reads are recently. And tariffs is a real issue. It really throws things into a loop. If we get into this trade war and all that stuff, it causes issues with, it becomes a tax on us. My brother and sister live in Wisconsin with their families. Wisconsin's gonna get dinged by that Ottawa, that prime minister, whatever that guy is, leader of Ottawa. He's decided that he is going to have a tariff on the electricity because he doesn't want any. Canada doesn't even understand why they're doing the tariffs, and there really has been nothing articulated. So they're trying to make it go away. But then that's why Trump came out today and said 50% tariffs on aluminum and whatever else he said. So now we got this trade war tap dance. It's not good for prices, which means that we will be spending more, which is inflationary, especially if they're going tit for tat. Things start getting more expensive all over the place. You have a problem with inflation, and then the Fed can't do as much. So, and this is what economic policy uncertainty index for the United States. This goes all the way back to 1980s, and this just shows you the uncertainty. We haven't had a lot of times that were extremely uncertain other than today, right now. It's an uncertain times as far as the economics are concerned, and you can see that big giant spike, that was COVID. I mean, we overall, I'm sure, we were wondering if we could even do anything, sell properties back during COVID, but then we figured it out, just like we always figured out. This is the latest thing, we'll figure it out down the road. It's just right now we're trying to figure out exactly what it is. And we will figure that out down the road. Today's mortgage rates, told you there's a love affair between 10-year treasuries and mortgage-backed securities, and I'll show you what 10-year treasuries look like. This is from CNBC. I was actually on the CNBC app this morning looking at it. You see that it's right now, this was as of wee hours of the morning. It was in the red, but now it's in the green. I root for the red. Red means it's going down. Yesterday was a great day for rates coming down, and it was in the red by quite a bit. And but right now, when I went on it in the car, it was green, which means that slightly up in rates. Now, when you go on this, if there's ever any news like CPI that comes out tomorrow, that's a big day for rates. If something was weird in that, rates could change a lot. So this is the other app that I would download because you can go here and just look at 10-year treasuries and whatever this is doing. If it's in the red going down, it means rates, it's good for rates. And if it's in the green going up, it's not good for rates. That's basically what it is. So that's how I look at it all the time. And you can see it's come down quite a bit. If you draw a line across it's at the lowest level since the start of December. And that's why rates are better. And you can actually see that this follows the same curve as the other one. You can actually see this W over here. That was when we hit 6.1% and 6.1%. But these are the 10-year treasuries. These are actual interest rates. Mortgage news daily, 6.1%, 6.1%. You see, they follow each other. And that's what we look at. And right now, as of this morning, 6.72% is where we are hanging. And 6.72, you can see over here, this was last year. Pretty much we spent most of the year above 7%, which is what really hurt our marketplace because it actually lined up, started in February and went all the way through July, where we were stuck pretty much above 7%. And it's with 0 points. Your clients, when they first start looking at even considering doing anything, they start to look at things like rates online. They look with no points. So that's why I like to look at no points. They all pay, most of them pay points, at least like 1 point, because it really helps rates a lot. However, they don't know that that's what they need to do until they meet with a lender. Before that, if it has a 7 in front of it, they don't like it. It's just a psychological barrier. And we were stuck above 7 for quite some time. As a matter of fact, we were stuck above 7s from December 18th all the way to February 19th. And I thought it was gonna not be good for our spring, but it got better. When you're below 7% in the 6s, you can actually see a change in pending sales activity as long as we stay there for a while. And that's where we were as of the end of July all the way to the start of October. And we got below 6.5% for 42 days. And I could see it change pending sales for the rest of the year because of being down below 6.5% for just those 42 days. And where are we at right now? We're below 7 in the 6s since February 20th. This is actually really good news because I had a base case. It was between 6.5% and 7% for this year, which means we would do more transactions, but first we needed to get below 7. I had 3 different scenarios for this year. One is 7 to 7.5, the other is 6.5 to 7, and the other is 6 to 6.5. I'm still rooting for 6 to 6.5, but we are running out of time to get there because we needed to line up during our spring market. At least we're better right now than we were last year. That's what I care about because that will make a difference for our marketplace. We will do more pending sales, which means more closed transactions, which means more people are able to do things. That's what this is all about. And I'm here to show you really quick why we can't trust anybody that says exactly where rates are going to go. This was at the beginning of, at the end of December. The start of the year, January 6, 2025. This was everybody's projections for the year. Don't even worry about this. Matter of fact, I'll get you guys a copy of this presentation so you guys can utilize this, whatever you guys want to use in your own presentations. But this is where everybody's thought rates should go. Fannie Mae, MBA, Mortgage Bankers Association, Wells Fargo, average of those 3. I don't really care. You know, Fannie Mae does a real estate, they do a forecast every single month. At the end of this week, they get to do another one, it's their March forecast. Can't wait to see it so that I can poke fun at them again. And I'm gonna show you what I mean by that because this is their mortgage rate projections for this year, what they said back in September. You guys enjoying 6% right now? How are those 6% rates?
Yeah, it's really good right now.
Isn't it good? Yeah. Then along came November, they changed their mind. Totally. They said 6.5% now with no points. And yeah, 6.4, 6.3 by the end of the year. Don't worry, they changed it again in January, 6.7, 6.5 by the end of the year. Don't worry, they changed it again in February, down 6.9, 6.6 by the end of the year. Does it make it look like they have any idea of where we're really going?
No.
I'm here to tell you they have no clue, and they shouldn't be doing this.
Right.
Because there are headlines on Wall Street Journal, CNBC, all over the place, Yahoo Finance, all that. Everybody reads them, and then I get a laugh a little bit, but you guys are all into my secret laugh that I do every single month when they do this. And it's just like whichever way the wind's blowing. I can tell you this March's report, when they come out with it, is going to be lower than it was last month. No dir, because it is lower right now. So, and things have changed, evolved within the last month, right? They're not really going out on a limb. So that's why mortgage rate projections, just ignore them. Nobody really knows. And if they say they know, they're wrong. So tell them to put it in writing and send it to me, I'll follow it. The housing market, there are 5 seasons that we have in real estate. Spring is the best. It is when we do the most transactions. It's always right around, it just depends, but it's usually around April or May. I'll get into that in a second. The number 1 month for number of pending sales. We also put more homes on the market during the springtime as well. And second fiddle is summer. Because once summer comes around, then we like to go, it doesn't even matter if you have kids. You go on vacation, you go to the pool, you do something. You do something fun because it's nice out. It's no longer cold and rainy and all that stuff. It's nice out. That's the bottom line. Then it's, so we got spring, summer, fall is the third fiddle. Then winter is the 4th slowest. The slowest season's actually the holidays. That's mid-November to mid-January. As soon as New Year's resolutions are done, then everybody all of a sudden wants to buy real estate, but not that many homes come on the market yet. That's what happens every year. It's annual. And we put the fewest homes on the market in December, second fewest in November, and we do the fewest number of transactions in December. So it's just a real slow month. It's the holidays. But that's not where we're at right now. We're actually knocking on the door of the spring market, which doesn't start until the second half of the month, which is next week. But we're still in winter right now, and we're raining in SoCal. So it was freaky cold, like in the 40s. That's our winter, and rain. So this is winter market. This is when supply does not change much. In some markets, it goes up a little bit. In some markets, it goes down a little bit. Overall, It's not doing much of anything. But the big thing is demand surges, which is why we get to Super Bowl and say, you should come on the market, because it always feels hotter at the end of January than it did at the beginning of January. Always, always, every single year. Even during the Great Recession, it felt that way. Now, we're dealing with two opposite economic forces. One lines up in favor of sellers, the other favors buyers. That is, we have a supply scarcity issue. And that favors sellers. Affordability with rates as high as 7% plus, that lines up in the buyers column. The higher rates are, the more buyers pull back. The fewer homes on the market, the more sellers pull back. AKA your spring of last year was a very hot spring. But what's happened over the course of this last year is our supply scarcity problem got a little bit better. More homes on the market, more homes for buyers to choose from. And right now, this is what I've been hoping for, but we're kind of starting to see it. Affordability crisis is getting a little bit better with rates that drop. The closer they get to 6%, the more that we're going to be able to move around the capital a little bit and sell some houses. Housing inventory. Now this is courtesy of National Association of Realtors, goes back to 1982, and this is the number of homes on the market over time. And you can see, I'm going to point right here. I actually knew in the fall of 2005, you could see at the midpoint, you could actually see this was the fall of 2005. I knew, because I was already doing the numbers, because I started in 2004, that there was a problem in the real estate market, not a good one. It was red flag. And then the following year, in 2006, we hit close to 4 million homes, red flag. 4 million homes for 3 years in a row. That is way too many homes, with a lot of people that had adjustable rate mortgages with 0 down, no payment, subprime, and all the junk, fog and mirror junk that we did. That came to roost. We haven't done that in a long time. We moved off to fixed rate mortgages. Back in the day, we had adjustable rate mortgages that adjusted every single month. So your payment could fluctuate, and all of a sudden you got in a pickle. You couldn't afford it. If you lost your job, you put very little down. You couldn't sell your home. That was the issue back then. So, but you can see what's happened since. We came way down in homes, and we had a supply scarcity problem. Even prior to COVID, we had a scarcity problem. It was the lowest January on record, going all the way back to 1982. And yes, you can see we have more homes on the market this year than last year. Do you see? You can see how each one of these mountains is a year. This is 2023, this is 2024. Yes, there are way more homes in 2024 than 2023, but who cares? It's still a supply scarcity issue. It's chronic, it's not going anywhere. We don't have enough homes for values to plunge. This is the #1 reason we will not see home values crash. And the #2 reason is healthiest housing stock of all time, ever, in the history of the United States. People have fixed rate mortgages, they have so much equity. Equity rich means 50% plus. 40% of the United States owns their home free and clear. 2/3, if you include those people with the number of people that have 50% plus, 2/3 of the United States has at least 50% equity in their house. Not going anywhere, anytime soon. And this supply scarcity problem goes way back in time. You can see that this is way more than what we had over here, but look at back here, the population in the United States. Somebody said, what was the population back then? Well, I did it, it's about 220 million. We have 340 million people now, and yet we have way fewer homes on the market. This is an issue, it's that chronic inventory problem that I talked about. And this is Clark County active listing inventory, dates all the way back to February of 2022. So I have 3 years worth of data. You can see what happened in 2022. Very few homes on the market to start off the year. There was a little over 2,000, and it kept climbing as rates rose. So that was 2022's Himalaya. This is where we are right now. You can see 2023 was a bust. Hardly any homes on the market. 2024 we built homes, and we're starting here for 2025. It's only going to go up unless we get rates down to that 6% level. So this is where this is year over year. You can see in 2022, like I said, very few homes on the market versus where we are right now today. This is where we are today. This is the report that's coming out tonight. And on March 6th, that was last Thursday, 7,617 homes in Clark County. That is up 1% or up 92 homes in a 2-week period of time. Because I do it every 2 weeks, these reports come out. Last year, we were at 4,895. that is 36% less, or 2,722 fewer homes. That is the purple line. Do you see what the blue line was? That was 2023. There was a problem. We weren't placing enough homes on the market, and we had this very low demand, but it just ate into even our inventory that we had because nobody came on the market in 2023. And we'll explain why. In 2024, more homes came on the market, and they accumulated because it was the same demand, and that's why we built that inventory, that purple line. This year, we're starting off higher, and we're placing even more homes on the market with very similar demand. What does that mean with the inventory? It will continue to rise, and will probably rise past where we were in 2022. So 2 years ago, we were at 5,857. That was 23% lower. That's the blue line. And this is where we're gonna head. It's gonna be a little bit flat until we get to right around, like I told you, May is when more homes come on the market, and it'll start to elevate and continue to rise. And then typically, we peak between August and the end of September for Clark. However, we've been getting these higher rates at the end of the year, and because we got the higher rates, that even the homes that we were putting on the market weren't selling because rates were too high, so they even accumulated later, so those peaks were later in the fall than they normally are in all markets. That's what happened because of the higher rates, because we hit 8% in 2023, and even last year we got way above 7% in the month of October again, and those extra homes that we placed on the market actually accumulated, created a late peak. Now this awesome family, they did everything right. They got married, they had babies, they bought a house, they're in this house, but they're now outgrowing the house, but they're doing everything on the porch because they can't really move, they don't want to move. Why don't they want to move? Rates. Something I call hunkering down. It's not locked in, because they were all believing the story of date the rate, marry the house. They all thought that rates would come down eventually. Eventually, they'd all come down. So, but here's the problem: they're hunkering down. In Nevada, with anybody that has a mortgage, 73% have an interest rate at 5% or lower. So everybody that has a mortgage, remember, there's a lot of people that own their homes free and clear. It's about 38% in Nevada. 54% of everybody that has a loan has an interest rate at 4% or lower, and 1 out of 5, 20% have an interest rate at 3% or lower. Does anybody have an interest rate at 3% or lower in this room? So, any of those hands that were up planning on moving within the next couple of years?
No.
Yeah, there are hands that are going up. Yeah, thank you for being vulnerable. Because there are a lot of hands that are starting to go up in my presentations. Why? Because we're just tired of waiting. How much longer do you have to wait? People have been waiting now 31 months since the last time we were in the fives. 31 months ago, the last time we were in the fives. That was August of 2022. Sounds like forever, huh? Sounds like rates are never going to come down into the fives. Are you believing that the rates are going to get down into the fives? No, not anytime soon. So everybody is recalibrating their expectations, and that's what's going on. So this is the number of homes coming on the market every single month, every single year. I just plotted. There's a real fine spaghetti in the middle, and the spaghetti in the middle is prior to COVID. It's done funky things since COVID. And you can see the red line is this year. This is the number of homes coming on the market. That blue line was 2023. Do you see the problem? We didn't place that many homes on the market in 2023. As a matter of fact, in April of 2023, you placed about the same amount of homes on the market that you did in COVID, when we had masks and couldn't move out of our house and we were locked down. That's how few homes came on the market in April of 2023. That was a problem, because it wasn't COVID. It was just that they were just going, I'm enjoying my rate. So, and that purple line was last year. So we did more homes last year placed on the market than the blue line. The red line is the start of this year. As a matter of fact, there are 19% for January and February, 19% more homes than last year. 1,330 extra for sale signs. Now, if we compare that to 2 years ago, it's 33% higher, over 2,000 extra for sale signs. So we're putting these extra for sale signs on the market, and it's very, very similar pending sales activity. So those extra homes that we're placing on the market are accumulating, and that's how we're building this inventory. If you're wondering where it's all coming from, some people said buyers went on strike. No, they didn't. Still the same number of buyers that are out there. We're just placing more out there, and you have the same number of, close to the same number of sales, what that's gonna do is it's gonna accumulate over time, and that's what's going on. So can't believe everything you hear out there, because people like to make things up, especially on the net. It drives me crazy. So this is every single month compared to the 3 months prior to COVID, 2017, 18, and 19, every single month. And you guys see what's going on here. You can see COVID on the very left-hand side. That was COVID. We didn't place that many homes in the market during COVID. Why? Because it was COVID. We were locked down and we were wondering if we could, people didn't want to sell their house. They were wondering if they were going to die. So that was what was going on back then. This is different over here. This was rates started to rise. And as a matter of fact, in 2023, there you go, missing 28%, missing 15,100 for sale signs compared to the 3-year average prior to COVID. In 2024, now it's only 16%, missing 8,700. And you can see which direction we're moving, that way. We're moving towards normal amount of homes coming on the market. And then so far, in 2025, I'm pointing to the middle between January and February of 23, 24, and 25. You could actually see there are, we're only missing 3% compared to the 3-year average prior to COVID. Only 263 fewer, so we're pretty much right there. LA is the other one that's pretty much right there. Vegas is right there, so is Phoenix. So we're placing the same number of homes, but remember, we're matching up against similar demand, which means that when we price properties, we need to price them right immediately. And I actually do a report, I did it twice last year. If you reduce the asking price, you will net less. I can prove it. And it has nothing to do with price. It has to do with length on market and reducing the asking price and getting less fanfare. You actually net less. And I statistically show it, and I've shown it over years. This is just the way it works. And so it's very incumbent on us. Yes?
Do you have a graph for that?
I do. I did it for Clark County. I did it back in November. So if you actually sign up for the report, I'll send you that particular presentation. Say net less report, I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, because it actually does show that you will net less. But anyway, so we are, my big thing is I got into business in 1991 when Johnny Hopkins was around and Mike Ferry was around, and they were all telling you, get in and out of the listing presentation and get that listing. And then you can massage the price down lower. That's not doing them any favors. How about we have a different strategy? I don't like that strategy. The strategy I like is spend as much time as possible with these people, inundate them with data and statistics, which I have plenty for you to download and include, and then go comp by comp. Figure out exactly what the price needs to be. If it takes 3 hours, who cares? If you get that thing, I don't care if you got the listing, what was the price you got? Is that thing sellable? At the end of the day, they want to sell. Let's help them achieve their goal, and you want a commission out of that. Let's help you achieve that goal. How do we do that? By pricing properties right and spending as long as we possibly can, getting them at the right price. Otherwise, we're just wasting our time, or we reduce the asking price, they net less. So we have low supply versus this low demand I talked about. We're very interest rate sensitive. We saw I was really happy when we got down to 6.1%. I could see markets, pending sales activity increase in a time in like September that we never see pending sales activity increase. The rates impact on affordability. This is my most photographed slide that I actually have. This is if you want $3,000 per month with 20% down, just principal and interest, how much of a home can you afford? And you can see at 7%, you're looking at a $563,000 house. And then at 6 and 3/4, right about where we're at, we're now looking at a $578,000 house. And then when we were down at 6%, you can see we were at $626,000 house. If we even got down to 5.5, now you're looking at a $660,000 house. Do you see what happens when interest rates come down? It just opens up the door to being able to afford more, which is why we will be inundated with more buyers, especially millennials and Gen Z, that feel like they've had to wait forever. Because who's been winning this whole entire time are baby boomers. They're the #1 winners in this, with the people with the most amount of money. And then the first time home buyers' age has risen all the way to 38 years old because they have to wait so long to be able to finally get something and have dual income and be able to afford something. So, but now we have more homes on the market. We just need interest rates to get down there so they can go buy these houses that are out there. And what would need to happen in order to purchase a home? This is people that live in build-to-rent residence, what would it take for you to actually stop renting and go buy something? The number one thing is for rates to come down. That's number one. And number three on this is they're hoping for a housing crash. Says home prices decline. That ain't happening. I told you, the healthiest housing stock of all time. It's just not gonna happen. So, and this is Clark County demand, pending sales activity, the last 30 days of pending sales activity over time. You can see in 2022 at the start of the year, yes, we did a lot of pending sales. In 2021, we did even more. And you can see what happened as rates increased, we went way down, and then each one of these mountains is a year, 2023, 2024, and the start of 2025 on the right. And I show you where rates were. They started off the year at 3.25%, and they've just been, they rose, and we were stuck above 7% for a lot of last year. And that's what I'm watching. You could actually see the dip right here. You could see the increase in pending sales activity right near the dip of rates coming down to 6.1%. That was why I know that all we have to do is get down to 6%, and we'll see a lot more activity. And I saw it in all markets. So this is pending sales activity, last 30 days with pending sales activity. This is the red line, this is this year. We have more homes, and we have a fewer pending sales across the market. March 6th, last Friday, 2588 pending sales for a 30-day period of time. That was up 2%, up 47 pending sales. You can see how it really rose earlier, went from just over 1,500 all the way up to where we're at right now, over 2,500. So yes, in January, things zoomed. But right now it's a little bit slower of a pace. Last year we were at 2679, that's 4% higher, 91 extra pending sales. And then two years ago we were at 2666, that's 3% higher. That is the blue line, so purple line was last year. And where are we gonna go? This is typically what happens between April and the end of May, then we get to summer and then all the distractions come in. That's where pending sales demand actually peaks. And then the distractions come in, and you can see that it's down from there. And you can see how high it was in 2022, the number of pending sales that we were doing. So we're gonna follow that, we'll just see. This thing can actually go up at a higher velocity if we just get rates to come down even a little bit more than where they're at right now. If we get that puppy below 6.5%, things will be really good. So I'm watching it like crazy and reporting on it as well. And this just goes to show you, I'm gonna show you when the market feels really hot, and it has to do with where supply and demand are. Do you see right here on the very left-hand side? You see the number of pending sales actually exceeded the number of homes on the market. If you remember back to 2022, and it was like that in 2021, it was like 2 years practically, where we wrote offers and we wrote them $50,000 above the asking price. It was just dumb. I've never seen that before until COVID. I've been doing this for a very long time. I didn't like it at all. I thought it was the most unhealthy, unhinged market that I have ever seen. And people go, well, that's why values should come down. But it's not. Unfortunately, that's not the way the laws of economics works. You need a whole bunch of people to be in a pickle for that to happen. It's not gonna happen. So there you go, that was a problem. We had more pending sales activity and the number of homes on the market in the last 30 days, that's ridiculous. You guys got down to like a 19-day expected market time. Yeah. That is stupid. That's just dumb. You had some area, I'm sure you had some little small communities where it was down to like the single digits. Mm-hmm. And if you remember January 2022, there was like some developments where there was like nothing on the market or one. That's it, just one. So, but look at this, flash forward to later on in 2022, look at the number of homes on the market compared to where demand is. That's big, right? That's where things slow down a little bit. Didn't 2022 second half feel a little bit slower than the first half? A lot slower, and that's what it was. You can see this in all marketplaces, and where is it at right now? You can see it's not quite like 2022, but it's gonna grow more, the difference between last year and this and pending sales, inventory pending sales. This is where we're starting, very similar, and it's only gonna grow from there. The only thing that can change is if rates get down to 6%, so it's something that we will be watching and reporting on. I don't know if rates will make its way down, we'll have to see. So, the speed of the market, how fast is the market? Place your home on the market, when are you gonna become a pending sell? Everybody cares about that. Everybody, buyers, sellers, everybody. And you can see what happened in 2022. Started off with in the teens, down at the bottom left-hand side, in the teens, and made our way all the way up to over 160-day expected market time. That's where you hit bumper-to-bumper traffic. That is where you're the only person on the freeway like during COVID on the left-hand side. So this is where we are as of right now, the start of 2024. And you can see lined up year over year, This is where we're at right now in 2025. On March 6th, last Thursday, we were at 88 days. It only went down 1 day in a 2-week period of time. It was coming down nicely, but now it's slowed, which is normal for this time of the year, because it might go down a little bit more and then hit a bottom and then start to rise later on. March 6th, 88 days. Last year we were at 55 days. That's the purple line. And the blue line was 2 years ago. It was at 66 days. How about I just threw in 2022 for fun? We were at 20-day expected market time during this time. This is where you're writing offers and not getting them. Getting 50 offers, show a house, an open house for 1 hour on Saturday, all 50 offers on an Excel spreadsheet that you gave to your client and answered everything on Tuesday. And you shut off offers. Most unhinged, unhealthy market I've ever seen. Where are we going from here? So between March and the end of May, that's where we hit a bottom, and then it starts to rise from there. You can see blue was a slower rise because we didn't have many homes coming on the market. Purple was a bigger rise because we had more homes coming on the market, very similar demand. And this year we're starting up higher, which means we have to be priced right now going out the chute because it's a different marketplace than other years. That's what this latest report kind of talks about to get everybody's expectations going. And so some markets feel a little more sluggish, kind of like a slight buyer's market, but you need to know your neighborhoods too, because you guys are the experts in your local neighborhood. I can tell you what's going on in the cities. And then you have other markets that feel a little bit more balanced, and you have other markets that feel a little hotter, certain price ranges as well. And you can see it comes out with every report. I don't have year-ago data yet. I have to get to May. We're just about there, so I can show you how many active listings there are, what's demand look like last 30 days, what's the expected market time right now, what was it 2 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, and in May, 1 year ago. And then the following May, it'll be 2 years ago, because I will be continuing to do it like I do it in all the markets. So this is, just so you know, Boulder City back in May was at 53 days, today is at 74 days. Henderson was at 57 days last year, is at 87 days right now, last year in May. Las Vegas was at 54 days last year in May, 90 days right now. Laughlin, 181 days right now. Mesquite, 63 days, 201 days right now. North Las Vegas has always been the hottest market. 39 days last year, 67 days this year. 39 days was unhinged, unhealthy, even last year with these higher rates. So that's not good. Which shows you how quickly we can get to these unhealthy markets as soon as rates come down enough. So I would like just 6%. If it starts getting into the 5s, it might be like COVID stuff again. That would be dumb. And then values go up too fast. It's not what I'm rooting for. So I'd like to ease my way down there. So market overview. Luxury is the top 10% of the market. It is 750,000 plus for Clark County. The inventory, there are 1,544 homes on the market at 750,000 plus. That is 38% higher than last May, an extra 425 homes since last May. Demand is at 319. That's up 4%, up 11 pending sales since last May. A little more inventory this year, right? Expected market time's at 145 versus 109 last May. So that's a little bit longer than the other price ranges. And you should know your price ranges. This comes out with every single report. And this is, we do right now, based where it is right now versus last month. And we will change that to 1 year ago, coming up in May. But you can see things have improved in all the markets barely. 750 went from 94 to 86. And you can see that 1 to 1.5, it's at 147, it's actually slowed a little bit, 1.5 to 3. You need to know your price range of your property. If you have a property at 3 million plus, some of these luxury agents actually say, yeah, your data is not accurate. Really? It's the number of pending sales, the number of people that are languishing on the market. I know it's languishing on the market. I know this is exactly what you will feel. You've got to price these properties right. They've got to do all the right things because they will sit on the market for a lot longer than the rest of the marketplace. So Clark County luxury, the number of luxury closed sales above 750,000, this is January and February so far of this year, so let's look at it, what is it, year over year? Up 8%, up 36 sales. For all price ranges, it's up it's down 5%, down 244 sales, which means luxury is a bigger piece of the equation, right? The lower ranges aren't doing as much right now. Not a big difference, but you can see the red is this year, purple was last year. You guys had a little bit hotter of a market too at the beginning of the year. And this is Freddie Mac's home price index. I hate medians. I told you I hate days on market. I hate medians just as bad. Medians are lame. Have you ever tried to use medians to show where prices are going? It's the dumbest thing. People ask me all the time, so Steve, can you tell me what the values are based upon this median thing? And it's like an EKG. No, I can't. I cannot. How do I get to know what my city is? I don't know. You're the expert on that. There really is no real expert, it's you. You have to go comp by comp. Now for the Clark County as a whole, there are lots of home price indexes that are out there. And this is Freddie Mac's home price index. This is through the month of January. And you can actually see that it's up 7% year over year. That's where values are. Up 7% year over year. Up 0.8% month over month. January is way better than December. You can see how December was kind of flat, it's not even existent right there. And it's up 4.6% from the 2022 peak. This was the peak before the interest rates really went down. You can see where things went. And so, how about this one? 40-year change in statewide home prices. Do you see Nevada? It's gone up 403% over the last 40 years. Inflation during this same time period went up 203%. Household income rose 233%. It is a good bet to be in real estate, and that's what this shows. And I have to do new homes for you guys. There's a lot of data that's out there that is aggregated by other people that I utilize. And this is the percentage of total inventory. Because we have fewer transactions we're doing, don't have a whole bunch more new homes, but they're a bigger piece of the pie because they could do more things to close transactions like 3, 2, 1 buy downs. Which, by the way, if you have anybody that bought their homes 2 years ago or later, they thought that they were going to date the rate and marry the house, and yet the rates haven't changed, so their rates are going up higher and they can't refinance. Some of them are in pickles. So call everybody and see if they need any real estate help. Those are people you get with your title company to figure out who those people are. But you can see it's a big percentage. It's as of February, it's 24.8% of all transactions were new homes across the United States. It's 1 out of every 4. It's not usually that high. And you can see in January 2011, it drilled down to less than 5%. So things have definitely evolved and changed. It's actually been growing in time, but it really got out of hand when rates jacked up. And this, I know this is complicated, all these arrows, but I'm gonna tell you something so that you understand. The months completed is at 2.1 months of inventory that's standing. There's actually standing inventory out there. I've actually heard some builders talk about it in Clark County, that there's a little bit of standing inventory that they're not used to having across the United States. It's rising, you can see the rise. It's because they're having a harder time selling things with the current climate, and a lot of people not believing that rates will come down in the future. So they're building their standing inventory. And the months under construction is at 5 months. Now that's the blue line. It's kind of been hovering right around that 5-month mark. That's a lot of stuff still under construction, which means will be completed and just add to the stuff that's completed on the market. That's why it's going up like that. And the months not yet started is growing to 1.8 months. Can't really see it, it's gray, but it's been growing. The reason it's growing is because of the current market activity, and that is a lot of people, not started means they have permits and they might not want to start because they want to wait until things are a little bit better and figure out what they're going to be doing with building materials and things like that, because now there's these tariffs. They just announced something else that can really hurt builders today. And they're doing something with lumber and all that stuff, so it'll be a problem for them. Housing units under construction. This shows you where that red is just 1 unit. And there are 641,000 housing units under construction total. This is coming down from a height that we reached in 2022. And this is the number of price reductions across the United States for all homes in residential resale. It is at over decade high. 33.7% of all homes have reduced the asking price at least once, and we're only in February. Anybody have a home that's overpriced in this room? Anybody? Anybody gonna be vulnerable and put up their hand?
Yes, everybody.
Do you know some?
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah, so I had my sign company made me this. And I think this is a great sign writer.
Overpriced.
And that is because this is a great sign writer. And the reason it's a great sign writer, I need to plug this in really quick. This is a great sign writer because I would tell clients, I'd sit down and I'd place that on their, we're almost done, but I'm actually it's gonna run out of batteries in a second. Can I just plug it in right here?
Yep. No, there's one right there on the bottom right by your, the bottom there. Yeah.
Oh, thanks. All right, so I would use it in my listing presentations to tell them that Stephen Thomas from Reports on Housing said that if we reduce the asking price, that will actually net less. So I don't want to net less. I don't want to net less, so we need to arrive at the correct price. And that's just a tool, but I would use something like this so that they understand that pricing is that crucial. And then you have that report that I talked about, that net less report. It really makes a difference to price it right out of the gates. And that's what I talk about in that report. So Clark County number of closed distressed sales. This is going back in time, all the way back to January of 2008. We did 17 in the month of February. I did this last night. 17 short sales or foreclosure residential resale. That's way different than when we hit over 3,500 back over here in 2009. That was a lot. So anybody expecting this foreclosure wave, including this ridiculous video that I had to watch this morning so I could respond to whoever sent it to me and tell them how dumb it was, it's not gonna happen. We're making our way back to pre-COVID numbers. We are still artificially low. Those FHA numbers are normal. They're always high. We're just making our way back up towards normal. Where were we in 2019 at this time? 102 in Clark County. You didn't look for foreclosures or short sales. There's a lot more that existed back then. There will be more down the road because people will get in pickles. I told you about those people that are doing those 3-2-1 buy downs that are in pickles. Some of them. So, but some of them can turn around and sell their house because they have equity in their house. A lot of people put lots down, so we need to help out those people. I'm just gonna do this LA fire impact really quick because everybody asks, even in Vegas. I can't believe it. I've been going around in Clark County and say, so, is there gonna be an increase? Because I have sellers that are asking me if there's gonna be an increase in demand. I shake my head. Oh my gosh, you're kidding me. It's all the way out here. They do it in Phoenix as well. And let me tell you, there were 12,000, almost 12,000 homes that were destroyed. It was awful, because I am in SoCal and I had never seen anything quite like it. Now, where we did see a difference, and this is the last report, we really saw a difference in January, not so much in February. This is the number of pending sales. We actually have an increase in the 4 million plus. There are not that many people that can immediately go buy something else. You have to have cash in the bank. Who is that? The uber wealthy. So what were they looking for? The 4 million plus. That's where we saw it. And we saw a blip. Now it's actually diminishing, and the blip is going away. A lot of these people will go buy real estate elsewhere, but it'll be a slow dial. You will not notice it at all. And the further you get away from LA, the more you will never ever, you can't even detect it in LA, you will not detect it here. So none of your clients should be talking about this. I actually did a YouTube video on this, so you can send it to your client. Now, where we did see an immediate impact was on leases. And it was like a light switch. In January, this is just LA, in January, it went up 56% from January 2024 to January 2025. It was the most number of residential leases ever going back to 2000 for any month in January, and it burned down in January, so they immediately, a lot of people went out and rented something. And this is, the bottom one is February of this year. There are more, but look at where you see a lot more. Look at 20,000 plus per month. That's crazy. Isn't it? 10 to 20,000 per month. That was up 263%. Now it's just up 68%, up 25%, 10 to 20,000. And this was LA. They rented in Orange County and in San Diego County, in Ventura, and in Palm Springs, Palm Desert. Some of these people that are going, I always wanted to move there, and now I don't have a house, so I'm moving there. So that's where we saw it, and they were renting while they figured out what's going to go on, and it takes years to figure it out. You will not notice it at all. So, housing debrief, I do this typically every week, Thursday or Friday at 5 p.m., I upload a new housing debrief. I do a video based upon a lot of the stuff that you tell me that you're hearing out there, and I hear myself. I actually do reports. My most popular report's actually out right now. It's called the Housing Recession. We have a recession in units. We do. That's why everybody has been having a harder time in real estate. As far as values, no. And I show why in that video. I have some people that I got really mad, because that's what they do. They get mad when they see this stuff because they are rooting for it to crash. And they want to hear it from me that it's going to crash, and I show them with proof that it won't. And they go, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm going to go over to this other guy that's never done any housing analytical stuff ever in his life, and I'm going to listen to him because he's walking around in front of this new home builder and talking about a lot of FHA stuff is going to crash, and it's going to be the worst. It's worse than the Great Recession. Same people have been saying that for 5 years. So I also do a housing debrief every other Wednesday. Let's talk housing, reports on housing. You can listen to this on podcasts and all that stuff. My handle for YouTube is reports on housing as well. Listen to my stuff, like it, subscribe to it, send it to your clients. It will make a difference for your business. I've made it more national now because it's just a national phenomenon. The more markets I do, the more I understand that. And when you sign up, make sure that when you get that first email, the first report, that you click on, I want the text messages, because you have to opt in. And we send out a text message every Friday that tells you what's happened in inventory, demand, and market time, the speed, and the changes each week. And there's a little social media thing for you to click on, and you can upload that. And this will give you a flavor. You even get one Friday, and you don't get a report next week. So it's every single week that this thing comes out, because the reports come out every other week. And reportsonhousing.com, that's where you go to subscribe. It comes out, like I said, every 2 weeks. There's a bunch of links at the bottom. There's a video for you to listen to how to repurpose it and all that stuff, because we have a lot of agents that have been doing this since 2011 when we first monetized the report. Subscribe, $15 per month or $150 per year. I'd lock in that $150 because it goes to $200 and it goes to $20 per month starting in May 1st. And you get a month free if you sign up utilizing this. Does anybody want to subscribe to the report in this room?
I'll take one for sure.
Thank you. Can you pass these out?
Absolutely.
And make sure you get this back to me. Some of you guys say, I'll scan it to you. Less than a 0.1% chance that you will do that. I've done the math. So fill it out, get it to me. It stays on my person. I'll send it to you, and you'll be off to the races. You'll have a differentiator in Clark County. There aren't that many people with it yet. So if you're in Orange County, it's like one of every 4 agents has it. I've been doing it for a long time. Anybody have a question for me?
I was gonna ask you about the LA fire stuff, so.
Yeah, because everybody does.
So how do we get the presentation? Is that,
I'll send it to him. We'll get you a
To
copy
Jeff,
of this.
okay.
Yeah, we'll get you a copy of the presentation.
thank you.
Yeah. And if you want that net less, when you fill it out and you want net less, put on their net less. And Brendan, who works for me, will send you the most recent report will send you the report that comes out tonight. So you'll get that one as well as the net less one. We'll send that one to you as well.
Give that to the team leaders, tell them, hey, get this. Cool. Any other questions, you guys? All right, perfect. Stephen, thank you so much. Way the information. Wow, fantastic. I'm definitely gonna get the report because I want it for myself as well.
Yeah.
And I can help enlighten the agents as well on what's going on. Any other questions, you guys? We're a little bit long on that. Stay late. Tim is gonna be doing his class. He stepped out of the bathroom. So thank you guys for coming. Appreciate you guys. Give them a big hand. Good job.
Thank you.
Do what we want to fill these out and give to you right now? Is that what you want to do? Okay. You're gonna come down for a second?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll fill it out. I'll fill it out. Cool.
I gotta see your office, see what
Yeah.
it looks like.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. Tim,
Great
there's
space.
Tim. Yeah, Tim's coming in. All right, Tim, you use my computer?
Yes, if I may.
Yep, absolutely. He's got, that's his stuff. Here, that's your stuff there. Yep. Yeah. That's- Yeah, my power should simply plug in. Here's your little thing.
Very nice. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks.
That, thank you. You guys fill them out right now, he'll collect them. Oh, dude, others, yeah. Clay does our numbers, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
I used to pull once.
Yeah, he does it
I
amazing.
pull the stuff off the MLS. No, I,
You know, that,
then I drop it into the spreadsheet. I get feelings for it, but I don't know the details. I've been telling folks. Just a
Watching it like crazy. We'll know for anybody, you'll kind of feel it, saying something different, stuff will say something different.
alright.
Good.
You know, there, brother?
That's the biggest advantage. Yeah, exactly.
But I don't have a quick let me report out.
What is good?
All it takes is a $32 million house to close it out. And then you've got one on the other end, it's got a dollar.
Yeah.
Come out of newspaper. We have the ability to lock up the high.
What did you do? Did you kick one of your sellers?
No, I ran into like a cabinet.
Thank you.
Your region, it's posted now. Yeah. Posted like 5 hours ago.
Okay.
So what you need to do is log in to see if you're actually still.
He sent me like an analytical, like, report.
Yeah. And I don't know how much of that information. I don't know who's getting that. Probably I thought that one you're actually posting, but you're missing like Q&A that we could add to it, and you're missing products and people to it.
Okay.
So log in to see if there's verified, see if there is any red flag or not. Red flag, then we should be able to move forward with those products.
Okay.
I always enjoy presentations. I'm a lot of time.
Okay.
Yeah, and I threw your name in the hat. I'm not overstepping the boundaries here on the Rocktown side, but we're looking for somebody to possibly do a presentation once a month via Zoom. So Vaughn Keller is my direct report. Hopefully he'll be reaching out to you. So I threw your name in the hat. I think it'd be a great fit for that. Yeah. So we have Rock University, we do presentations, usually 3 or 4 times a month.
So do you cover all the,
Nothing number-wise. It's usually
do you
like,
cover the rock offices here?
I do. Yeah, so I'm like learning and development. I used to be on the sales side of the equation.
Yeah.
And moving into presentations like this. So I just go from office to office here. But then I do some Zoom classes too. But I think it might be a good fit. I think I know it would be. Now, if it fits well for you, that's what we something to discuss.
I know, Tara.
Okay, good. Yeah. Good.
She was actually an escrow officer from my dad's company back there.
Crazy.
So you're noticing foreclosures are going back or they're not?
Yeah, they're been slowly but surely making their way back. I think it's worse off in the market.
Because I get notices from the title every day. So I've been tracking them. That's what I did, short sales in the day. And
Yeah, there should be more than there were before. We went down to none when there was the moratorium on everything.
yeah, I just started to send my new and improved foreclosure cards with this QR code.
Yeah.
I went to the park and recorded a little short message of getting people.
What was that?
Yeah, I'll make sure you get it.
Okay, thank you.
So trying to generate some